It'll be available. If you have any questions about things that were discussed, you can reach out to me, Dave Junton and Glenn Washer. We have several members of the partnership that attend SCOBS, and so they cover a variety of topics. They have the committees, and so here's just kind of a summary of those committees. Fall protection updates. I will mention this a little bit because this is something that is of interest. It was brought up at both SCOBS and SCOM because for bridge maintenance right now, OSHA is looking into potentially enforcing the fall protection rules for bridge maintenance workers, and so it's a very critical topic, and I didn't want to put too much in my slides about it because I'm not the best person to talk about it, but something to be have in the back of your mind. T18, one of the critical committees for what we do here in the Preservation Partnership. So right now they're looking at a lot of internal redundancy evaluation, some things they can do to make it easier. And this Professor Rob Connor from Purdue University, Boiler Up, is doing a lot of the work with this as far as trying to promote reduction in inspection frequency where appropriate, and so guidelines on how to be able to do that, and which possibly would reduce the number of arm's length inspection requirements that we have. And so there's obviously tremendous cost and absolutely essential when it's needed, but if there's opportunities to reduce some of those requirements, that'd be fantastic for us as states. And so a lot of study around legal loads. That conversation is continually going. We keep talking about the impacts of oversized loads, and overweight loads obviously can have a tremendous impact on us as well. And so T18 is doing some great work on that. I think Dave is the vice chair of that, so he's a much better person to have conversations with about that than I am. The Fast Act emergency vehicles, as we all continue to look through the impacts of that on our system and how we're going to deal with that legislation. Load and load distribution information, I'll kind of skip through a little bit of that. A lot of conversation, this was interesting to me, about the impacts of differential settlement on bridges and how as a designer, as a bridge evaluator, that you look into that. And so some great things being worked on there in terms of research with differential settlement evaluation and how to plan for it in initial design and then how to evaluate for it later on. Accelerated bridge construction, T4 is doing a ton of work on this. If you know Carmen Swanwick from Utah DOT, she has just put just a tremendous effort into helping other states. If you've ever reached out to her to get help from accelerated bridge construction, just a fantastic resource, incredibly gifted in this area, and so she's been a tremendous resource for us in Indiana. They're proposing guide specifications that they would like to publish as an AASHTO document for ABC construction, and so that information is out there. Also a PCI manual for evaluation and repair of pre-stressed beams. William Nickus presented on that, and that's obviously, we've seen some great presentations. Paul took us through some really cool opportunities in terms of strengthening pre-stressed beams that we all have and all maybe wish we didn't have at times, and so there's a lot of that. Subcommittee on maintenance, again, this was a fantastic trip. Is Providence, Rhode Island, lovely town, great seafood, hard to get home from. But other than that, so the Rhode Island DOT, this was interesting. They talked about their tolling system that they're working on, and so it seems like every state's in a different place with tolling and their approach to that, but so this was their approach, is to have a commercial vehicle only toll dedicated to bridge funding, which blew me away that they were able to do that, and so they're pretty tough out there. So another thing that I thought was interesting is they shared that they have a truck with a special transmission that allows them to drive low speed with high RPMs for bridge flushing. So I don't know if everybody knows about that, and I didn't, but I thought that was pretty cool. So scour inspection, this is another area right along the lines of the work that Dr. Connor's doing on arm's length inspection and frequency. This is right up there, in my opinion, as something that could be incredibly powerful and valuable, because they showed like a heat map, a 3D image of colored with the side scan sonar where they'd run that past the substructures underwater. No people underneath there working in high currents, and so in terms of safety, there's no comparison. In terms of quality, I am a huge fan of this because I could see the entire pier. I wasn't relying on somebody trying to stick their hand in a hole underneath the pier to tell me, if there's scour issues. And so, Federal Highway, I can't say what their stance is upon it, but I think for us as preservation engineers and being responsible with the people that we put out to do inspection, I think there's a lot of opportunities to consider where this is and is not appropriate. So that's all I'll say about that. There's promoting duplex coating research, and John talked a little bit about that, I think, yesterday. So one of the cool things that, we do our monthly report outs, and so each of the regions got up and shared, and I don't know if I was sleeping during the Southwest or what, but I didn't have good notes on that. I'm sure they shared fantastic stuff. So you can reach out to them if you want to know what they talked about, but Ben Foster from the Northeast said that some things they do during the monthly calls is they talk about beam end repairs, fast acts, so they sort of have a topic of the month, and I thought that was a great idea. I'm really kind of excited about that, and Nancy and I have talked about potentially implementing some of that. Southeast, Dan Mulaney, he was talking about how they're using infrared on their iPhones for just a real rough, this is not, measuring deterioration as much as, what's going on under here. And so with some of the iPhone scanning that you can get the little infrared scanner, being able to use that, you can get just a really rough idea, depending on temperature, and infrared is so finicky, but it's a great pre-screening tool when you're underneath the bridge. And at the very least, it's better than nothing, which is usually what I'm able to do, So, or tapping with a hammer, but you can't always reach. So, and then sounds like the Southeast, a lot of their monthly calls is a knowledge transfer on their bridge management systems and processes. And then the Northwest shared, Chris Keegan shared again about the railing height issues, and how that, and they've been impacted the most. Washington State's been impacted the most by this, so that's something looking into. And then Dan Mulaney mentioned North Carolina DOT uses Rapid Rail to take care of that. So with that is the end of that presentation. It'll all be posted somewhere at some point. And so to keep us on schedule and to get to this fantastic technical tour, meeting is adjourned. I make a motion, I second that, and
the preceding video was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found at tsp2.org. That's tsp2.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.